There he is. Mr. Maxwell. Heard you got a new AK, bro.
I do.
Oh, that is not what we were expecting. What is it, Jay?
Gauges, man.
12 of gauges.
Yep, AK shotgun.
Dude, let's check this thing out, bro.
This is a 14-inch non-NFA shorty KL12 done by Dissident Arms out of Houston, Texas. It's a world-class IPSC open-class shotgun.
That's a hot-looking firearm.
Yeah.
I heard you got something pretty interesting to talk about with it too that you did yesterday.
I brought it in today to do some patterning with some choke, so I figured we'd go over that for the Vortex Nation.
Dude, let's check it out, man.
All right.
Adam, what do we got going on here?
All right, so we get asked a lot here at Vortex about doping on rifles, trying to develop data from previous engagements on how a bullet is going to fly out of a given rifle at a specific range. In the 3-gun game, though, there's another kind of dope that's equally as important and isn't as often talked about, and that's doping a shotgun. A lot of times folks think about shotguns as sort of an instrument that sprays pellets all over the place and just lays waste to all kinds of targets indiscriminately, and that's not necessarily the case for practical IPSC competition or tactical applications. We want to know exactly what the pattern's doing and have some control over how many of the pellets are hitting a given target area, or know at what distance we're starting to lose control of the pattern. So I just got this shotgun this year to go into open class and run the Razor Red Dot, do some product testing that way. And in combination with a new shotgun, now I need completely new dope for this coming season. So I went out and did some homework, and you do that by getting all your choke tubes. These are choke tubes, and what they're doing is, as we install them in the shotgun, these are different thicknesses. So as the shot column gets towards the end of the barrel, these will influence how quickly the wad will fall away from the shot column.
All right, so the wad's right in there?
Yep, the wad is between the primer and the powder, and then the shot charge, or the shot payload. That pushes it out the barrel, and then as it gets out into the atmosphere, the petals of the wad will open up, and that's what causes the wad to fall away. And when the wad falls away, that's when the pellets start to spread. And with the use of a choke tube, with different constrictions of choke tube, we will influence how quickly the wad will fall away by giving it a final squeeze at that last moment before it enters the atmosphere. And that's what we're measuring when we pattern a shotgun.
How are you getting these choke tubes into this huge compensator? What's going on?
So we use kind of a specialized tool here. This was a collaboration between Dissident Arms and Briley Manufacturing, actually. But they developed a system that basically, there's notches in the top of the choke tube that allow the wrench to spin them, and then there's a ball detent in there that puts pressure on it so you can pull it out.
So you already had a choke in there, okay.
Yep, so I could take this one out, and I could put this one in. Just install it on the wrench here. See, that puts that friction on there so I can get it in without dropping it. When I index the 2 slots, it will go down there, and then we spin it down. We have just changed choke tube. It's a completely different flight pattern now with the exact same shell because we've changed that choke tube.
So how does that correlate then up here what you got going on? One of these looked like a sea turtle with your drawings on it. One of them looks like a baseball.
So at very close range, and this is how I start to develop a dope card. So I'll get a big sheet of paper like this. This is easel paper. You can get it in the office supply store. We'll shoot these. I shoot them at about 5-yard increments. So I start at 5 yards, and I start walking back in 5-yard increments with every choke. So this choke, this one was 5 yards with a diffusion choke. And so I shot it, take it inside, I draw a circle around it, encompassing the pattern, and then I measure that pattern. So I happen to know that this one's 9 inches. So in a match situation, I know that I have a 9-inch spread with this particular choke at this particular distance. if I have two targets really close together, I know that I can hit them both. Or in IPSC, a lot of times there will be penalty targets on either side of a scoring target. So you have to sneak your shot column past those penalty targets to hit the one you want without knocking over the ones you don't. And knowing what size your pattern is at different distances helps you do that. And then as we start backing up and the wad falls away, the shot starts to spread out more, you start to get bigger patterns, and you'll start to see that there's more of a concentrated inner pattern. So there's still a lot of pellets going through in the center here, but then we're also starting to have some flyers around the outside. So in 3-gun, that tells us that I probably have enough pattern here to probably break a clay, because all I have to do is get one pellet on it and it's going to break. So I could probably hit a clay with, this is probably about 22 inches, but if I have to take the same shot on a piece of steel that has some weight to it, needs to fall over, I really only got about that same 9 inches that I had over here with this particular choke.
And this was about 10 yards, you said?
This one was a modified choke at 15 yards.
15 yards, okay.
So, and then at some point, this continues to spread out, and then we start to get holes in the pattern. So our pellet density starts to go down, and we start to have areas in the pattern that targets could fit in. So you could probably put a whole clay pigeon in some of these holes.
There's no holes.
Yep. So with a good shot, you would miss it because there was no pellets there. So that would, at that particular distance, I know I need to use a tighter choke.
And you said this was about?
This is a diffusion choke at 15 yards.
Okay.
So a diffusion choke is
the same choke that you were using over there at 5, right?
Yep. So we've backed up 10 yards from where we were, and that's the difference in pattern density. Wow.
I bet a lot of people who shoot their shotgun don't know that this happens when they shoot their shotgun.
They don't. A lot of folks have they'll go out and they'll shoot them at specific targets, like they'll shoot them at clays and things like that. So that'll give them a snapshot in time of what their particular gun will do on that particular day. But that's not going to tell them what their actual pattern is doing. This is an IC choke, or improved cylinder choke, at 25 yards. Again, I'm starting to have holes that targets could fit in. And so once I have this information, I can plug this into a card, and as I walk stages or try to plan and decide which choke I'm going to use, I can choke for the hardest target on that stage. So if I'm trying to get a double, hit two targets with one shot, or if I'm trying to avoid no shoots, I can just accurately decide which choke to use because I did a little bit of homework, went out, shot a box of shells at some paper, and did some measurements.
All right, so this is not your average shotgun.
No.
So what if some dude just got like a Mossy 500 or an 870 that they have at home for home defense, or what if it's like a turkey gun? Is there any reason to do all this stuff for that kind of a setup?
I did all of this data for my traditional shotgun when I was shooting a Benelli in competition, and the exact same concept applies, but the numbers are way different because I was shooting a 24-inch barrel before, and now I'm at a 14-inch barrel. So the velocity numbers on a given shell are going to be different, and the constrictions are going to be different because the wad is interacting with the choke at a different time in the burn cycle of the powder. So absolutely, if you're using a shotgun for any serious purpose, this is definitely information you need, because even in a defensive situation, an unchoked gun is going to spread about 1 inch per yard with buckshot in your house. But as you start to get out, you start to have pellets flying, and a buckshot pellet is about equivalent to a 9mm pistol bullet. You want to know where those are going, because every time you pull the trigger, you're letting 9 of those out into the atmosphere. So this is very important information that a lot of folks don't do, and there's a lot of mystery around it, because most of the research that has been done on patterning shotguns has been for the clay sports or for hunting, where we're shooting up into the sky, and there's no real penalty or downside to errant pellets. We're more trying to figure out for these applications where the pellets are going, and where they're not going is equally important.
So there you go, Vortex Nation. Adam has just successfully made the gun that you thought was the easiest to understand now more complicated to understand, thanks to his badass AK style. This is like a Vepr based.
Yep. This is based on a Vepr, which is ultimately, the chassis is off of like a PKM machine gun. And then, yeah, all the power of the shotgun is in that little tube.
So make sure you're also doping your shotgun, Vortex Nation. And if you have any other questions about this kind of stuff, call us up, 1-800-426-0048. You might get a guy on the line like Adam if you want to talk shop about his gun, or if you want to talk to any of the other guys about doping your shotgun. Maybe even if you have a Razor red dot on top of it like we've got here.
Absolutely.
Or any other kind of red dot on it.
We love questions. Anytime.
Sweet. Thanks, Adam.
Yep, thank you.